Welcome back to the On Business podcast. With tons of experience in different industries in Canada and the United States, Danielle and Brandon give you real talk, no nonsense expert advice about running and owning successful companies. Here's your host, Danielle Jenkins and Brandon White.
Dealing with difficult clients, I think it's a good topic to have with both businesses, different industries. Everybody deals with pain in the butt, difficult clients. And I just think it would be great to hear how you deal with them, how I deal with them, and how others deal with them. It'd be really cool to have maybe some stories come in from our listeners to tell us about how they've dealt with annoying or difficult clients in their industries.
Yeah, I'll give you. You and I were talking before we started recording, and I had mentioned one, I think, to you, but I actually have one that's even more poignant, which is a current customer that in general has been good, but most recently has been absolutely horrible. And for many reasons, and we're quitting. And that sounds crazy, but I think that what I've learned, I know. I said this the other day to someone I was talking about this, who's involved with this customer, and I said, they have made it to the point where I'm saying but effectively we, but me being the leader, I'm careful with I and we, I can't work for them anymore. They've made it impossible to work for. Mm-hmm. And their attitude is, well, you're just a vendor, and sort of like you're one of whatever, you're not special. I'm not asking to be special, but we delivered an incredible product to them. Mm-hmm. This is for a security company. Incredible. In fact, a product that no other school district in this country has for security, period. And they've just, I don't even know what the word, they have not embraced it. They've been super critical. And this is not the past, let's call it administrations, have been super supportive and wanted it, of course, because school shootings and all this sort of stuff is a major issue. It happens. It doesn't get put in the news right now or often, one, because of Me Too and followers, but two, because we have a war in the Ukraine, a market that can't figure out which way to go every day, inflation, at least in the United States, it appears to go through the roof, and like 100 other issues that are going on. And I think it gets drowned out. But they have made it impossible to work for. And I used to, in my early career, had the attitude, Danielle, that we had to do whatever it took to make a customer happy. And I think that you absolutely should attempt to do that. But what I realized is that there's actually some clients, customers that you will never make happy and will drain you and will crush you. And to be candid, just reflecting and talking with you here, it's probably why I'm so exhausted this week. Because I haven't ridden a ton of miles this week, and I've gotten decent sleep. I just checked my sleep tracker, and I'm not at the top, but I'm not at the bottom. It's not like I'm getting 5 hours of sleep. I'm getting good sleep. It's because this customer has literally exhausted me, and I just can't deal with it anymore. And we're never going to be successful. Have you ever met someone where you're never going to make them happy? And it's not about you. Mm-hmm. That's the other thing, is it's really not about us. There's bigger issues at stake there that we are a byproduct of. And by the way, this isn't just me. I'm trying to put edges around this for listeners so that it's not like me saying, hey, we were awesome. We're actually been audited like the entire 9 yards. ranked in the top. This isn't by third parties. This isn't just a crazy thing. And it just will not work and will never be successful. And that's a terrible situation to put yourself in, and a terrible situation to put your people in, the people, your team. I mean, it's just a bad situation. And we've talked about this and before. I think I brought it up where I got fired by a freelancer who was editing, actually, of all things, the YouTube videos for The Edge. And she fired me. And she told me, she said, I can't deal with you. I'm a freelancer. I need X amount of hours now. And I told her I wouldn't accept it. I said, I'm not accepting your resignation, nor you firing me, mainly because that wasn't communicated up front. So I'm not blaming her. She had a valid point that maybe I should have understood. But once I understood the issue, which was she is a freelancer, she's trying to fill 40 hours a week, if not more, and she needs that block. So I just guaranteed the hours. And then then the incentive is on me. And it was around not getting her an answer fast enough, which means that she can't start the clock on us, which is totally reasonable. So I think and I'm not blaming her. She's an incredible editor. She went and took a full-time job of all things, which I didn't think she would do, but she worked with us for, I think, over a year, 18 months. And she's an incredible video editor. I mean, it's really hard to find people that are multi-talented in animation and editing and all that sort of stuff. But, so those are two examples of at least lessons that I've learned. And I think that my takeaway to sum it up is there's some customers that you're not going to make happy. They are going to suck you dry. And maybe as importantly, not that the bottom line is always it when if you have a problem with your product or service, you got to fix it. But if you could get to a point where they're just not profitable and they're going to whine and you're never going to make them happy, then you need to fire them. And I think as business owners, we're conditioned because we want that revenue that we're like, oh, well, why would we ever turn away a customer? And it's hard, but I think you've got to do it. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. I can agree with every single statement that you made. Even back down to the point that you want to take every client and that we are conditioned to want to make every single client happy. I remember when I first started, when I was handing out those flyers and starting the business, I literally took on every client, maybe not even knowing how I was going to accomplish what they were asking or what they needed, but I took it on because you want, like you said, it's revenue. You want to see that money. You want to build your client base. You want to get your company started. But then as time went on, I remember we had one client and they were with me from day one. They became a client from day one. And as the company started growing, I was very thankful to have them stick by us, but things change. You learn things. You learn how your company has to change to accommodate your employees, to accommodate other clients and the needs, because you're all just figuring it out as you grow. And so I remember speaking with this client personally. And I said, these are the changes. I'm happy to still work with you based on what you expect from me when it was just myself. But now, these are the things that I'm going to just ask of you because we do have to make some changes with the company changing. And obviously, I'm not going to get into details because they are quite personal in regards and confidential in regards to the company and the client. However, from that moment on, and I thought I did a really good thing by speaking to them personally about changing and what is happening. And, I'm thankful that the company is growing, but I am thankful to have you as a client as well. Their total tone and mood changed with myself, with the company. They would speak to our staff like awful. They would speak to me awfully. And it got to a point where I pretty much just said to them, listen, if you are not happy with something that we are doing, please advise so we can, make the changes or be able to help you. And they could never say anything negative about what we were doing. They were just irritable or I guess, quote unquote, bitchy about, some of the smaller changes that we had to make. But their service was not being compromised because of these. It was just, I wanted to be up and honest with them about it. And literally, so I've had this company now for almost 6 years. I got rid of this client 2 years ago. 4 years I dealt with this 3 years. They were a great client for a year. And then for 3 years, I dealt with these clients. And the worst thing was, it was constant rudeness, constant disrespect, constant complaining, but not complaining about the product or the service, complaining just to complain. And just like your client, Brandon, they were draining me. Every time I saw their email or their name come up in my email, I was like, I would feel deflated. And they could have sent the nicest email, but it was just like, here we go again. And so I was drained with this client for about 3 years. And, I did every single thing that we possibly could to make these clients at least just say one thing. And again, the worst thing is that no matter what they said or did, they gave us more business, which did not make sense to me. So they had multiple office locations. They had multiple residential locations, multiple new construction projects. So it literally hit every division of our company. Revenue was great from them. So in my head, I'm battling, okay, can I handle being disrespected and treated like, the maid, for all of the money that they are spending with us? Or can I not handle it? And of course, I have a company. I'm a business owner. My number one priority is revenue of the company. So I just kept dealing with it. And so then I took it upon myself. So my staff didn't have to deal with those people, our office and G&A. They didn't have to deal with these awful clients. So I then dealt with these awful clients. And it got to a point where I remember, I think I was telling you when we were talking about branding for our, hold on. Brandon, can you hear me? My computer my thing just froze. Are we good?
We're good.
Okay.
Move your mic closer.
Sorry, maybe is that better?
So don't worry. Don't worry if it freezes. We're using Riverside, so it's just, you can keep talking. It's recording locally.
Okay. Sorry about that.
And we're back.
Sorry.
We're back. We're back.
So back to that. So just before I got rid of these clients, when I think I was talking about this when we were talking about branding in one of our podcast episodes, and just before Christmas, I guess 2 years ago now, on our residential side of the company, we always do these like quirky little gifts for the clients that are branded by us. We spend a fortune on them. It's something that we're able to do as, for our clients to be able to benefit from. So this particular year, I can't quite remember what it was, but it was something great. And every single client loved it, except these clients. So just before Christmas, I had dealt with all of their crap over the last 3 years, and we ended up getting an email from them, or I did, I guess. And this email was something along the lines of, and it was so contradictory. I can't even to this day, 2 years later, I still can't even process this in my brain. The first part of the email was how great we were, how great we, all the great product and services that we had provided, and that they wish us success. And then the next part of the email was about how no matter how crappy we treat our clients, stupid little Christmas gifts are not going to win them over. But thank you so much for your service, and we look forward to working with you in the new year. And so this was just like the kind of work relationship that I had with these people. It was just, it was draining every single time. And single time I got an email from them, that was literally my thought process. I was almost speechless. I couldn't even process what they were saying or anything like that. So eventually I just said, you know what? I'm not walking into the new year with this client. I've dealt with this enough. And so I just sent them an email and said, hi, such and such. I want to thank you for your loyalty over the last few years. During the growth of our company, you've been wonderful clients, and blah, 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 blah. We just said, unfortunately, so I guess it would have been, so we're in 2022 now. So I guess it would have been 2020. 2020. We cannot come into 2020 with you on our client roster. So we are officially terminating our client relationship or our business relationship, and wish you the best. And honestly, the second I sent that email, I felt like the whole world was off of my shoulders.
Yeah. And I think it's really hard, especially when you have revenue coming in from these people, but you can't do all of your analysis on a spreadsheet.
No.
You've got to take, and I bet you if you really accounted for your time and your staff's time, your staff in your office and your staff actually doing the job, which I'm sure there's stories that wasn't just hunky-dory and easy, because I'm sure they were complaining on site if they were complaining all the way back to the headquarters. And you added that up, it definitely cut into your margin.
Mm-hmm.
And if it made it break even, then what the hell? And here's the other thing that I was thinking when you were talking is that we as business owners think, well, oh shit, my competitor's going to get this business. And you know what? For those clients, go get them, Tiger.
Yeah.
Like that actually may be your biggest competitive advantage, is that you do fire your bad customers and they go to your competitor, and your competitor basically has to deal with these people. So I think you have to switch your mindset. But I am acknowledging that it is extremely hard because we want the revenue.
Yeah. You want to keep that revenue coming in. You want to keep, your client base growing. You want to keep your reputation flying, right? So it is hard.
And I think if there's people listening who are early in their business journey, they'll say, well, I need that revenue. And you just said, you brought that customer on when you early on in your journey or in your business evolution, that you needed that revenue or believe that you wanted that revenue. The question you really have to ask yourself is it holding me back from getting 5 more better customers? And that's it's really hard, man. I mean, it is hard to fire revenue. But if you don't do it, I would argue it's going to cost you. And here's why. Because I'm tired today because of it, which affects my attitude, like it or not. I mean, it just does. I'm probably going to be more short-tempered. Not that, you're going to, I say short-tempered, you're going to have a shorter fuse. And that causes problems throughout it's not just with your other customers, it's with your clients, and quite candidly, it's with your significant others and your family who bear the brunt of that. The cascading effects of this just aren't about, it may start in the spreadsheet, then it may start with your frustration, and then it may start with your staff or your team's frustration, but the cascading effect goes all the way back home. And it even goes down to your animals. Like you have a puppy. If you have a shorter fuse with a puppy, that's going to become a problem. And it's not the dog's fault, and it's not your partner's fault, and it's not your kid's fault. It's not your nephew's or niece's fault, but this is the actual effect. And you have to ask yourself, is that worth it? And as painful as it may be, your life is I can say this having walked away from situations. And not only, I'll say this, I mean, this sort of, Danielle, really is more than just, we're talking about business and customers, but it could be with a co-founder. It could be with a partner. I mean, all of these things, and all of those things are hard to walk away from. I've walked away from a business partner who, quite candidly, I learned of any business partners I've ever had, learned more from him than anyone. I did, but we were not a match. I mean, just fundamentally had different approaches and not necessarily completely different worldviews, but execution approaches. And that was just never going to work based on the market we were in and what it was going to require to get to a break-even place. And that toll just wasn't worth it. on me. That company that we sold, the new owner's doing great. I mean,
Right.
he's killing it. And it's not because we couldn't have, or someone obviously couldn't get there. It's just that you're not a match. So you got to be willing to walk away. And that opportunity, which is as painful it was to leave money and work on the table, so to speak, opened up new opportunities for me that I would have never discovered had that not happened, and probably killed myself and relationships and 100 other things that would have been a byproduct of me just, and I did. I had a shorter fuse, which, it just affects everything and your health. It affects your health. If you don't think so, just weigh yourself every day and look at the chart after a year. And I bet you can map your weight to things that are happening for most people.
Yeah, for sure. You made a comment about clients, and you're scared of losing that revenue, and then you can fill it with somebody who's willing, with 5 new clients, and that really resonated with me because we're in the service industry, right? So for us, we've had that many, many times, with costs of everything, our prices have to go up, as does every business. And we've had clients, and this actually happened to us this spring, or I guess like a month ago. We had to up our prices for the first time since pre-COVID. And during COVID, we have not upped our prices once. We've dealt with the battles. We know our clients, and this is on our residential division. So we're cleaning homes in this division. And so with us, we've been very fair. We know times have been hard with clients. We've been very, very reasonable. We have not upped our prices as other companies and businesses have. So we've left it till now when people can really decide, are they going back to work now that kids are back in school? Things like that. We thought it would probably be the best time to do so. So we sent out saying that we were going to increase our prices, and we have had some of our clients been with us for 3-4 years. So we've had some clients who emailed back right away. And I'm not saying we tripled our prices. I'm saying a 7% increase, very minimal. And, they've been loyal clients. And, we didn't do it for more profit per se. It was literally to cover new prices. I mean, things have skyrocketed as per everything in the world. And so when we sent out this notice to all of our clients on the residential division, we got about 2 or 3 people that did come back and say, oh, well, I've been a loyal client for this long. I am not paying this increase. And so, we then respond with, we're sorry. We have not increased our prices in however long. We do apologize about this, but as per the rest of the world and every single thing else in the world, our prices have went up because the rest of the world's prices have went up, gloves and products and supplies and just everything that we need to run our business. I mean, they all go up. So when we explained that to the client, it was the same thing. Well, I'll go to such and such and get another person to clean my house for much less or whatever it may be. And we literally had to say, and because I don't deal with every single client on our residential side, like maybe Samantha does or our other Danielle does. And so they would have to just sit there and they're like, oh my God, Danielle's going to be pissed because now we have a client that's potentially walking away. So then they're calling me going, what do you want to do? People are getting upset. And I said, let them go. We don't need them, because the thing is, and I don't want to sound cocky, I don't like what you were saying before. We're not number one, maybe. I mean, we're very great. We have completely dominated the cleaning industry up here. And so I don't want to sound cocky, but we have enough business and clients coming in that we do not need to deal with people who are not willing to pay for prices that are fair due to the global market. So, I said to them, let them go, send an apology. We do understand, that times are tough right now, whatever the reasoning that they gave may be. And if there's anything that we can do for you in the future, please let us know. And guess what? Literally within half an hour, we have new requests coming in and they're approving the new price. They don't know the old price, so we give them the new price on their quotes. And then there we go. We fill them in. And those clients we don't miss them. And again, I don't want to sound harsh, but it's true. We have a business to run. We can't keep them if it's not making sense money-wise. Why do we have a business? We do it to make money. If we're all losing money, it would be like a non-for-profit or charitable organization. So, you have to at least cover your expenses, and we have a business to make money and make a little bit of profit. So, so it's very difficult. And some clients don't understand. And sometimes it's not even about them being difficult clients. It's that they don't understand. They think that our prices maybe are the same all the time because it's something that we're doing the same all the time. But then when you break it down to them, they're like, oh, you know what? We do understand. Sorry, it's just not feasible for us right now. Easy peasy. But then you do get those ones that are bitchy about it. They're rude. They're disrespectful. And you just have to brush it off and not let it bother you. Because even 6 years in now, we've gotten some emails or even Google reviews that I've read, and I literally just want to cringe and cry and break down because I'm thinking, oh my God, this one Google review is literally going to ruin our reputation. And I just have to kind of breathe and let it be, because one star Google review out of 75 stars says more about them than it does us. So that's kind of what I've had to think about when we've been dealing with those clients and these difficult times with clients.
Well, I agree. I think the takeaway is sometimes people aren't a fit. Businesses aren't a fit. Services, products aren't a fit. And that's okay. One thing you said was that you had so many customers that it doesn't affect you. I think I would emphasize, even for people who are starting, it's easy when you have 1,000 customers to let a customer go. It is harder if you think back to when you started, when you had 5 customers and you would have to let one go. So
I would have never.
Right. It's very hard. So for listeners out there, you might have to tolerate something for revenue if it's profitable. But I would argue that you shouldn't. I would argue that you should cut those losses, because the stress of dealing with that angry customer is going to suck so much, not just of your actual time, but your mental energy, that you're not going to get the next 5. And maybe if you cut them, you weren't going to get 5, you're going to get 10, because you don't have all. That stuff weighs on you. It weighs on you. It's not like you put your computer down or you leave that, whatever your business is, and it goes away. It lingers and it sticks with you. And I've had that. And it's easier to say in retrospect because you can at least reflect on it. And if you're earlier in your customer journey or your business, it's good to listen to people who have already done it and said, hey, I would do that. So that's what I would say there. The other part I was going to ask you is, do you Yelp and Google reviews, all this stuff is a big deal now. People have been dealing with it, and even Amazon reviews with this sort of stuff. And there's actually tactics out there where competitors will seed your stuff on purpose. To your point, having 1 star and having 4 and 5 stars, the rest of them, I think someone can easily see. But do you respond to those people on Google reviews or Yelp or whatever you use Google reviews, I think, more than most anything. So do you think that people should respond? I
do. I think it paints the real story. And I can give an actual experience to this one. So we had a client that reached out in November on the residential side of the company, and one of our managers were dealing with her, and she wanted a clean within something ridiculous like 3 or 4 days. And we couldn't do it. We were literally booked up, I think, until January 1st. We were not taking on any more clients, and especially with December being so busy for us. And we, again, over time, learning this, that not to spread yourself too thin, because, and like overpromise, underdeliver kind of thing. So we wanted to make sure that we weren't going to say, oh yeah, we can fit you in, and then we have to cancel. So we were very upfront with her. We could not fit you in, blah, blah, blah. Turns out we actually ended up having a cancellation. So she was okay with us telling her that we couldn't fit her in, blah, blah, blah. We then had a cancellation. So Samantha reached out to her and said, great news, we can fit you in. We just had a cancellation. Well, we didn't hear from her, like at all. So we obviously gave that to somebody else that was on our waiting list, but we gave it to her first. I think something like January 12th came around and she emailed back and said, oh, I wasn't expecting a response from you until January, so I didn't check my email. Which anybody from today's day and age doesn't just have a conversation via email with one company or one person. So whether you missed it, whether you just didn't care for it, whatever, not my problem. It is what it is. So we said, okay, no problem. We can fit you in February or like whatever the conversation was. We were fitting her in regardless. Well, that didn't work for her. Okay. And we were like, well, we can't, we don't have anything else. We take priority over our clients who are with us weekly, bi-weekly, every 4 weeks. Those are the ones that we take care of. If people come in for a one-time clean, great. We'll fit you in if we can, but we're not going to move our clients that pay, every week or 2 weeks to be with us and expect loyal service to fit somebody in that's just a one-time clean. And again, that's something that you kind of have to learn the worth of your company and your kind of morale to be able to share with your loyal clients. So back to that. And so she got annoyed and she said, well, let me know when we can fit you in or whatever. So we emailed her again and said, listen, we can fit you in as of this date, this date, this date. Please take your pick. Well, she didn't answer. So I said, you know what? I'm not playing this game anymore. She's just giving us a run for our money, stressing us out because it was this one client out of thousands of residential clients was always in the back of my mind. And I don't typically deal even with the residential side, but I have to hear it from our admin staff, from Samantha going, oh my God, this client, we still haven't heard from her. Should we book in that spot with another client that's asking for that spot? It was a lot. So I said, no, we're not. So then next thing you know, out of the blue, we get a Google review from this woman, a 1-star. And it was her side of the story saying that she reached out for a clean. We said no, blah, 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 that we were never accommodating, that it seemed as if we didn't want her business. And at the bottom, she writes, all I wanted was my house cleaned. So I took it upon myself to share the real story. So, and some people have told me that it could have been a little bit too much, but I need people to understand that this is her opinion of what happened and not the truth. So I laid out the story from beginning to end and copied and pasted all of the email correspondence. So people who read that could see, okay, so this woman just posted that we never responded, that we never gave her options, that we never wanted her business. And I timestamped, dated, and copied and pasted every single email between her and Samantha from the time that business relationship started to the second it ended. So like I said, so people could read it and go, okay, so yeah, the client was probably pissed off that we couldn't fit her in. However, it's not like we weren't answering her or weren't giving her options. We just merely were not able to make it happen as a relationship. So I highly suggest responding to all of them in a professional way. I mean, even in that response that I outlined all of our emails, I was still very courteous, still very professional and friendly. At the bottom, I still said, I wish you would have called or emailed again instead of posting a Google review. If there's anything that we can do for you in the future, we would love to see if we can help you then. And I was still very polite about it. But people do leave shitty reviews.
I wouldn't have said that. I wouldn't have said it if there's anything else we can do for you. I'd say, look, we're just not a fit for one another. It's okay. I think that whole tendency of us as humans and as business owners to always, please, I think you need to make customers happy, but not at all costs when in this case you were never going to win. So I wouldn't even have said that. I just said, hey, look, we're not a fit. Your expectations of who we are and what we do is off with who we are. I mean, in general, we can't make money if we don't have repeat customers doing one-offs. We want to do, of course, but we can't. Our business model doesn't allow us to make money. And people who say, oh, you went too far, if you didn't post that, then the problem is online is that the person reading it gets to make up the story in their head and you don't set it straight. And some people may not read your whole response, candidly, but at least it's there so that someone could read it. And I think people say, oh, I get that. Like, you're taking it too far. Well, that could or couldn't be true, but break that apart for me. And maybe you're using words that aren't. Maybe you're using words to express how you feel of what was done that may not be accurate to the emotion, which is, wow, that makes me feel uncomfortable. But being uncomfortable doesn't mean that it's too far.
Right.
It just means that it makes people uncomfortable. And I think sometimes you have to hold people accountable for what they do. Now, if you made a mistake, I think you should, and I have done that. Hey, look, we made a terrible mistake.
Mm-hmm.
We forgot your appointment. I'm making this up. If someone said, we misbooked it, we overbooked it, then what I would say is don't make excuses,
right?
But accept the responsibility. I think this isn't true in not just business. I think this is in life.
Mm-hmm.
Making excuses is just, I had someone make excuses recently. I'm like, why don't you just own it?
Right.
You didn't do it. You made a mistake. It's because they're not confident. They're insecure. They're scared.
Mm-hmm. Versus,
hey, we're not perfect. We made a mistake. We want to fix it for you. We want to do the very best. It was completely our fault. So I think these are I'm not saying that these are easy, but once you start doing it more, you'll get confidence that you're actually your business isn't going to die.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get better customers, and you're probably going to get better respect. I think some people get tied up on, well, they don't treat me right, or I had said earlier, sharing that one story, and you said it when you described it, to say, oh, they don't treat us right. They treat us like a vendor. Look, that everybody should treat people with respect. But at the end of the day, you provide a service to someone, and if they want to treat you like that, as long as it's not abusive,
mm-hmm.
Some people are just transactional.
Yeah.
Hey, Danielle, you clean my house. I pay you money.
Yep.
And that's okay. But I do think there's this level. It's like, I judge people by, I say judge people. I make an assessment of people
mm-hmm.
that I want to be around by how they treat the waiter or waitress.
Yeah.
And that's a good indication. So my point in sharing that is simply, we're all human. Just treat humans as humans. And it doesn't matter what you're doing or what job they're doing or where they are in the economic or the social stratosphere. It's just treat people as a human. There's not nobody's less human.
Right. And I can even add to that. I mean, there's been many times, and I'm being very honest when I say this, many times that we have royally effed up. And I'm being very honest about that. I mean, there's been times where I've gotten a call. Actually, this was one time recently, within the last few months, I got a phone call on my cell phone at 7:30 at night. I answer it, and it was a client that I was supposed to have a Zoom meeting with, and it was not in my schedule. It was not in our system. And I'm thinking, okay, so I ask for their email, I look through, and bless her heart, Samantha was emailing with her, and she accidentally forgot to put it in my schedule. And so Samantha, owned it. She gave her own accountability, and she said, you know what? I'm so sorry. It was an extremely busy day. I just forgot to put you in Danielle's schedule. And the client was cool with it. She's like, you know what? It's all good. I get it. We're all busy. Totally fine. But if we would have just brushed that off and made some BS up that it was the client's fault, of course, it's not going to go over well. So yeah, we're all human. I mean, there's also been times where we've quoted for jobs and hence you learn things and then you change your processes and your systems. That is something it is very important to me within our company. However, there's been times where we've quoted people and we have went way off, and we've then had to take that because now we're out of pocket money because we've had to send 4 people instead of 2 people, because I can't now ask the client to pay double what they were quoted because of our screw up. So you learn from these. But again, if I would have said to the client, oh, well, too bad, I screwed up with the quoting, so now you're going to have to pay $3,000 instead of $1,500, that client's probably going to leave me a shitty Google review, and it's going to be my fault because I screwed up. So sometimes you do have to take those screw ups on the chin and own them and deal with them professionally and accordingly. However, yes, there are difficult clients, that we will all deal with. And yes, anybody starting has to make that decision. And I'm not saying it's easy, because I've done it. And even to this day, 6 years later, disappointed clients or annoying clients or clients that are difficult for not even a fault of ours and it's all their fault, still make me feel like my heart is breaking if they're unhappy with any kind of thing in the company. And I get that. So like, I'm not saying it's easy, and neither is Brandon. I mean, he's obviously dealt with his fair share of difficult clients. But you do need to make that decision, because they will wear on you. And if anybody has any stories about difficult clients that they need help with, I would love to hear them. And Brandon can tell you what to do, how to deal with them. I think that would be quite funny.
That'd be great. Yeah, I think the takeaway here is got to fire your bad clients after you, as long as you haven't screwed up. And if you do screw up, own the screw up. And I think you'll find very quickly that it will disarm the, I don't know what it's called, the anger or whatever it is, very, very quickly, and own it and try to make it better. And you should go out of your way if it was your fault to do that. But there are some clients that you will never make happy, will not be profitable on a financial basis, nor on your mental basis from you and your staff. And you just got to make that, you got to cut bait while you can and move on. And in general, as long as you have a good product and service that solving a problem for people, you're going to get more customers.
Right. And I just want to add before we end here, to your point of, yes, you need to fire those clients. Please, please, please do this in a professional, very courteous way. And the reason I say that is with everything that we talk about, even I think last week we spoke about social media and everything being online, i.e. Google reviews and Facebook pages and things like that. People copy and paste. I mean, I did it. I copied and pasted the email thread. So you do not want to send an email to a client and go, you're an effing idiot. We do not want to work with you. You've caused us so much stress, even though it could be true. You could be feeling all that stress, but do not say that. Just politely say, you know what, unfortunately, this business relationship is no longer working. We wish you the best. I just do not want to see anybody's business be slandered on Twitter or Google because they, some feisty admin sent a lovely email.
I think that's important. That is important. To basically consider anything you put. I think this is just a general rule. You better consider anything that you put digitally, text, email, I don't know, smoke signal, because someone will use their phone to
take a video.
Take a video of it. Anything like that, you better just expect, even voice, candidly, because someone is probably taping it somewhere. Just think about what happens before your fingers or you say something out of your mouth. But I think it's totally respectful, Danielle, to say, you're a little bit more formal, like, hey, this business relationship wouldn't work. I just say, hey, look, we're not a fit for one another. It's not good or bad. We are clearly not a fit. It doesn't make sense to make it work. We've tried to make it work. You're not happy. We're not happy. Let's just agree as people that it's not a fit. And if I can help you find other people, in fact, I think that's a good suggestion in that, and it makes you a good business owner in the sense that this is sort of off topic, but on topic, is that trying to make a custom bracket for a collector surfboard that I bought that we have hanging as you go up the steps. And a friend of mine went in together to design this because you got to cut the metal, and this bracket's going to be ridiculously expensive for what it is, but I want it to be stainless steel because we have stainless steel accent things on the glass that goes up the steps and everything. And I was thinking, well, I'm just going to get them to make a bunch of them because I don't want this vendor who's local here and is super guys to lose money on this. Like, this is a little project, custom project. I don't want them to lose money on a $300 bracket. So I said, hey, look, just cut as many as you can out and I'll sell them. And I was thinking how I was going to market that on Etsy. And I'm basically just going to say, hey, this is a high-end stainless steel surfboard bracket. It's not meant for everyone. Don't get mad that it's $375. Here's 4 other options that you can go to for $50.
Right.
And my point in telling this story is just say it might not be a fit for everyone. I mean, this might not be a fit for you, but I'm not going to slander you or get mad at you because you don't buy my product. Here's actually 3 cheaper options.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you'll be amazed at what happens because I've done that. In fact, Yvette does this with her dog agility. She has a dog agility training facility. And she has, I mean, bless her heart, has defined her customer so specifically that it is not even a debate for her. It's not debatable.
Mm-hmm.
She wants to do and only does competition agility.
Mm-hmm.
If you want your dog trained to sit and lay down, and she doesn't do that. And she's not going to even consider it. I mean, it's not even a consideration. Mm-hmm. And even further, while she does intro classes for people who want to do agility, she defines it. Your dog has to sit. It has to come on recall. You have to be able to work off leash. You basically need these fundamental things, and she will recommend people. Now, that's a different type of training. But even in dog agility, mm-hmm. she says the people that come here, first of all, she has a waiting list as long as from here to the moon, but what she can't accommodate just by mere fact, she doesn't have enough. Mm-hmm. She doesn't want to expand bigger than she has with 2 fields, and she just doesn't want to deal with that, which is fine. But she will say, hey, why don't you go to this training facility mm-hmm. and go train there for a minute? And if you get serious, good or bad, you can, then this will be a fit for you. It's not that we don't want you. It's just that you're not at that level and this isn't a fit. And I'm using this example because she does this every day and people actually get really mad at her. Mm-hmm. And she said, hey, look, the people who are coming here, come to these classes, they commit to the 6 or 8 week blocks and they want to compete. Mm-hmm. They even if they're, I mean, everybody wants to win, right? I'm not big on this participation thing, but I mean, there's first, second, and third place, but people want to win. But some people go to compete. They try to do their best, but that's not as important to them as the fun of doing that and doing these events. But she is very defined, and people will come. They get mad at her. Mm-hmm. They keep trying to come back. They're like, well, I want to participate. Or she's like, look, we're just not a fit. Go to these. The point of this is she will give them the facility's name, number, and email.
Yep.
And I think what that does is it actually, it's a real model, and she's really become a little enterpriser that way. But if you can do that, mm-hmm. then your business is going to be 100% better because she had. I don't know if she's ever compromised. I think somebody has snuck into a few of those classes, and it's just been a nightmare.
Yep.
Because what it does is it actually affects all of the other customers mm-hmm. because in her case, the dog roams, the dog's going to bite someone, the dog's going to get aggressive. It's a major issue for her business in that sense. And but the point is that she's very defined, and she recommends. That's 2 examples there. She recommends other businesses, which in your case, you could say, hey, look, we are expensive. Here's 3 other cleaning companies that will do a good job.
That are less.
Yeah, that are less. And will it be our level of service? I don't know. It's sort of like buying a Mercedes. Like, yeah, there's cheaper cars. You can buy the Honda Accord. The Honda Accord is a great car.
Right.
It gets you there. It's quiet. They've made great advances. It's not a Mercedes, but it's still a great car. Mm-hmm. And I think that if you're willing to do that, now you need to, that's probably a if you go to a Mercedes dealership and they tell you you're probably a Honda Accord person, you're probably going to be offended. So you need to adjust that and not be a snob. But I think our discussion here is really just offer alternatives and be willing to say, hey, we're just not a fit for one another.
Right. And we've actually done that. Like, just as you were speaking, like, we have done that. We, just like Yvette, she sets expectations for her clientele. Your dog needs to be able to do basic stuff like this, then we will take you in. We need to make sure you're a good fit. For us to take on new clients, they need to agree to pay for what we call, and I'm speaking on the residential division of the company, they need to pay for a full deep clean of their home before we will do any kind of weekly, biweekly, or monthly visits. So what that means is it is the most expensive visit. Our deep clean specialist team goes in. They do everything from top to bottom: walls, baseboards, windows, inside of your fridge. They pull your fridge and your oven out. They do inside, outside of your cupboards. They do absolutely everything. The reason being, and we've learned that, and just like probably Yvette, she's learned that if she takes on dogs that do not know basic commands, she's going to have chaos. We have taken in clients where, before we implemented that, where they just wanted, 3 hours, whatever you can do in 3 hours. So we go in, they sign off on the 3 hours, we come in, we do what we can in 3 hours, then we leave. Then we get an email. Oh, well, this wasn't done. Well, this wasn't done. How come this wasn't done? Well, this was done, but I would have preferred this to be done. So to stop that problem now, because your idea of what you would want done in 3 hours, Brand, like maybe you want your surfboard dusted and your liquor cabinet dusted and shined. And maybe I want all of my shoes dusted and my desk cleared off. Like everybody has different ideas of what they want done, right? So we always say, you need to be able to sign off on this. And it's an astronomical price compared to every other cleaning business. It is. However, we come in, we do everything top to bottom. Then it sets your home up where within a week or 2 weeks, we can then come in and do everything, maintain all of those items. So not one thing is missed. All of those items are done. And so nobody can ever come back and say, well, this wasn't done, because everything has been done once. And now we're just maintaining it in the time that they've approved for on their weekly, biweekly visits. So just like Yvette, to prevent chaos with the other dogs, we prevent chaos with our staff, with the clients, potentially, because they don't understand, right? Like they don't understand why that, because they wanted certain things done, but they also didn't tell us, and we're not mind readers. So to prevent that, we set that standard that prior to coming to work with us, you have to do that initial deep clean. It could potentially cost you $2,000. Also, just to note, it's not always that much. We make them approve that. They need to be okay with that in case it does cost that much. However, if it doesn't take that amount of time, they are billed much less. It is then billed on the hours that were spent to complete that initial deep clean, just for anybody listening. And if anybody's interested, I can tell them about that after. However, we make them do that, and then we go into their visits after. So everything is done, everything is maintained. And that has been a game changer for us. But we have had clients that even this morning, I had to deal with Samantha this morning. We had a client call that wanted monthly visits and monthly service, And so Samantha sent them the quote for that initial deep clean and then their monthly visits. And she came back and said, well, I don't need the deep clean. I clean myself. I just want regular visits. And we said, sorry, we can't do that. And she sent back, I am not approving this. This is, astronomical, blah, 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 blah. And so now we've had to make the decision, and where we've had to say, we're terribly sorry. This is just what we do, company policy, basically. And I'm sure there's 3 other businesses in the area, but we have done that where we said, we understand that things can be difficult, and that we are expecting a lot from you. However, please reach out to such and such. They're a great cleaning company. I'm not sure what their standards and policies are, but they may be worth a shot.
Yeah, probably leave that last part out. But I think what you do is the right thing. If you don't, our lady who cleans our house, she said the same thing, mainly because if you don't baseline it and then someone finds crumbs underneath the stove, they're going to say, well, you didn't clean that. Mm-hmm. Well, we never it was like that before we got there. And now you're in this argument. And I think everybody out there has to design these baseline. I mean, some of this isn't relevant to some people who sell product. Mm-hmm. In that sense, you're just selling your product. But then you have someone comes back, says your product didn't work, and yada, yada, yada. So I think in a service business, for sure, you've got to figure out some sort of baseline. Either, in your case, I would do the same thing. I understand it's expensive in some cases, mainly because maybe people haven't cleaned their house. And how many people pull their stove out, and how many people pull their refrigerator out, how many people actually vacuum under the bed. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's all these things where homes get really dirty, or how many people get on their hands and knees and clean the baseboard. I can't stand dirty baseboards. Mm-hmm. I can't stand glass that's, especially in the house, that has dust on it. But I'm just saying that, or fans. Mm-hmm. Fans, I'm sure are probably one of the worst. How many people actually get on, especially like our one fan goes, it's nonstop. Mm-hmm. It's always on circulating air because we have vaulted ceilings or high ceilings, and we just leave it on to circulate the air. But how many people get up on that thing and clean the fan? And what will happen, I bet, in your case, is someone will turn off the fan. The fan's not cleaned, and they're like, "Hey, Danielle, your person didn't clean the fan." You're like, "Your fan's been like that for 10 years. Clearly, look at there's 6 inches of dust on it. Right. I'm surprised it didn't fall off the thing." So I think you have to, in all things, you have to decide how to, in services, how to baseline that. And sometimes you have to, I can tell you we did something similar with our security company where, and our customers are enterprise customers, or have been, is baseline and say, hey, we have to do an assessment and you have to pay for that assessment. Mm-hmm. And it cost X. And people say, well, yeah, man, that's a lot of money. Well, I don't know how we would, one, be able to even scope a job to get you up to standards without discovering all this. And two is, if we don't baseline it, you won't know what work we did or didn't do. And it allows you to choose what to do that. And some people have said, well, we have a baseline. Well, show us the report, but we're still going to come on site and verify mm-hmm. it. I mean, now we're verifying someone else's work, whether it was yours or someone else. So I think in services, you sort of have to get a baseline. And on a product, you're just dealing with customers who are not good. And if you have a product, you might just say, hey, look, we're going to take the return. We're going to give you your money back, but maybe you should get some other product because this isn't going to work for you. And I think the other thing that I was thinking with you, not to go too far today, but what this really comes down to, I didn't expect to get to this point, but you can tell me what you think. I think it all comes down to absolutely defining who your ideal customer is. And Yvette did that and knows that. And it allows her to make really easy decisions about either clients who aren't a fit or bad clients. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Easily. Like, I mean, but if you don't have that definition, that's why these conversations are so good. I always walk away with I was thinking about for our software file finder that we've been working on recently, which is, hey, if you don't have a lot of files in your email or you don't deal with a lot of files, you're not a fit. Like, don't buy our software. Mm-hmm. But if you do have a lot of files and you receive files in your email and you can't find them, which none of us generally can, that's why we built it, then this is a fit. Mm-hmm. And I think it allows you, but it goes back to what you and I were talking about, and then I'll shut up, which is you're scared to turn away the revenue because you want all that revenue. But I think what it really comes down to is your ideal customer. And your ideal customer, by the way, in your avatar, if you've built that, it also talks about their attitude. And you've said this, and I think I've said it, is, hey, they treat other humans with dignity mm-hmm. and respect. And that is part of the avatar. And if they fail that part beyond paying you, then you go back to that avatar and it's pretty easy to tell them how you're not a fit. So I think we've got a lot of great examples today.
Yeah. And that's what I love about our podcast. We always start with a discussion, and then we always end up coming to some cool agreement of, something that is really powerful, I think, for our listeners and for us even. I mean, we've taken a lot of what we talk about in podcasts and changed some things. But yeah, I think 100% it comes down to, and maybe, I don't know what the topic of our podcast is going to be today now, but I think it comes down, knowing your ideal client, knowing your company worth as well. And about the swaying with, like Yvette letting, like sneaking those people in there that necessarily haven't, or us. I'm telling you right now, like if we were to sway on our process of that, say, initial deep clean, and we have since implementing it, it always ends in chaos every single time. So yes, know your ideal client, know how to deal with bad ones and let them go in a professional manner. I think that's very important.
That's a great summary and wrap. Enjoy your week, Danielle.
Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy your weekend as well. I will be puppy battling.
Sounds very fun. Bye, everyone.
Bye.